Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Kushal and in this video I'm going to explain the importance of changing your habits, the importance of upgrading your habits to live the life of your dreams to achieve all your dreams and goals. Make sure you stick around till the end of this video where I also explain a very simple step on how to break the habit of being your own self. Before proceeding further with the video, I would like to say that I not only explain these kind of topics on my YouTube and Instagram channel, but I also help people. I work closely with people to make sure they transform their lives completely from nothing to something and help them live the life of their dreams. If you want to bring a massive change in your life and if you want to work closely with me where I help you transform your life completely, I leave a link to my private Facebook group in the description box where you can connect with me personally and we shall discuss how I can help you. Coming back to the video, let's discuss what exactly are habits, how are your habits influencing your reality directly and indirectly, how are your habits responsible for you living your life in a certain way, achieving your goals, achieving success in your life, your happiness, and how to form better habits or how to upgrade your habits to live the life you want and to achieve all your dreams and goals. Let's define habits. Habits are simply the small decisions that you make every day and the actions that you perform every single day. That's it. There's no technical or there's no complicated way to define any habit. Defining a habit is very simple, but your own habits have the power to transform your entire life. Did you ever feel that your habits are ingrained in your brain, in your body, or your habits feel like almost natural or second nature for you, as if you're born with it from the very beginning? Your habits are not there with you since the time you were born, but your habits are formed over a period. It has taken years and years of thinking and feeling, years and years of performing a few actions that it has formed into a strong subconscious pattern that now you call it a habit. How are habits formed in the first place? The answer to this is very simple, and that is trigger, thought, feeling, and action. Just think about it. Habits are really born out of a trigger or have a strong context. You do things for a reason, and there are many infinite number of triggers, there are infinite number of contexts that you perform a few actions because of a few habits. Let's categorize these infinite number of triggers or the context as: number 1, environmental trigger; number 2, mental trigger; number 3, emotional trigger; and number 4, social trigger. Let's say you go to a party and you see a lot of tasty food like pizza, burger, you see drinks. Let's categorize this as an environmental trigger because you simply moved into an environment where there's a lot of food which is tasty, and you have a trigger, you have a temptation to have all that food. Now you look around and see all your guests, all your friends and family are enjoying the drinks, the amazing food over there, and one of your friends or family comes to you and say, why don't you drink, you're at a party? This we can call it a social trigger, where you're influenced or you're triggered by society in some way or the other. Now that you're in an environment that has amazing drinks and amazing food, and also your peers, your family and friends are insisting you to drink, insisting you to have amazing food, but you're overwhelmed to see the number of people insisting you to, you know, enjoy along with them or have food along with them, have drinks along with them. You kind of build up a mental stress or an emotional stress within you, which comes under, mental and emotional triggers. And because of all of this, your brain instantly responds to you in a very joyful manner. Why don't you have a drink? You're at a party. Why don't you enjoy along with your friends? Why don't you have amazing food? And now, your own habits, your own triggers lead to an action, that is, you go and drink excessively or you eat all of that at once. Remember that all these triggers are within you: the environmental trigger, the social trigger, the mental trigger and emotional trigger are within you and not something outside of you. But now comes the consequence that is outside of you, and your consequence is simply based on your own habits or your own triggers that is happening within you. Because why not? Your thoughts leads to action, your feelings leads to an action, your feelings and your thought combined together becomes a personality, and your personality leads to a consequence that may be in your favor, at the same time may not be in your favor. And let's categorize these consequences into 4 different types, and that is physical consequence, physiological consequence, psychological consequence, and emotional consequence. Now that we have discussed about the emotional triggers and the consequences that your own habit leads to, let's talk about habits in terms of brain. A behavior let's say let it be mental, physical, physiological or psychological behavior that comes along with a result as a reward, your brain instantly makes a strong connection between the behavior and the result or the reward that comes out of it. And that is why habits are really difficult to break. This is how your habits are formed in simple terms, and that is a trigger, a decision, an action, and a reward. As we have already discussed, there are multiple types of triggers, and now that something has triggered you to make a decision, let it be an environmental trigger or a physiological trigger or a mental trigger, and you have made a decision to take an action, and when you take an action and when the action leads to a consequence, your brain instantly sees that as a reward and builds an instant connection between the trigger and the action or the consequence or the reward that is a result of the trigger. And when there's a repetition of these steps, when there's a repetition of, the trigger, the decision making, the action making, and the consequence or a reward, when there's a repetition of all of this, a strong pattern of this is formed in the subconscious brain, or it's called the mind, and this becomes an automatic habit, or this becomes an unconscious part of you that you're not even aware of. Now that we have discussed about all of this, how our habits are formed and how we are triggered by a few things that can lead to a certain habits, and how our own habits can lead to a certain consequences, let's become aware of a few habits that we have in this video right now. Simply write down a few habits that you have. Your habits may or may not be helping you in any way, but simply become aware of a few habits. Simply put it in a piece of paper in your journal. Just write down a few habits that you have and your thoughts on your habits. The reason why you have those habits, what triggers you to have a few habits. Just put it down on a piece of paper. I'll explain with an example, and I'll give you my own example on this. One unhealthy habit that I have is late night snacking. And my thoughts about this are, I just can't resist it. I just can't resist eating late night or having some snacks or whatever I see after coming home late night. And what triggers me about this thought is I have a temptation for late night snacking. I have a temptation for eating some unhealthy food after coming home. So considering my own example, the trigger here is temptation for sweet, temptation for chips, something like that. And the thoughts on this are, I just can't resist it. I just can't resist eating sweets. I just can't resist eating, chips or drinks or whatever it is. And now the action or the consequences, I eat late night snacks. The first step to breaking the habit of being your own self, the first step to breaking your own habits and upgrading your habits to become a completely different person is becoming aware of the triggers for some habits that you have and the actions or the consequences that your own habits can lead to. Make sure you think of a habit and the trigger that is triggering your habit, your thoughts on the triggers that lead to an action, and also write down the action or the consequence in the comment section below, and discuss how we can help each other break the habit of being our own self and transform our habits to live the life we want. Breaking your habit or changing your habit or upgrading your habit is difficult and not difficult at the same time. This is when breaking your own habit or changing your habit is really difficult for you. And that is when you fight with your current habits, when you fight with your current personality, when you fight with your current triggers out of which you have a few habits, when you fight with your current rewards that your habits can provide you. And this is when your habits are really rewarding, really productive, and that is when you learn to upgrade your current habits rather than fighting them, when you learn to upgrade your habits without disturbing them in any way, when you learn to love your current habits and the result that is giving you. And this is when upgrading your habits or changing your habits become very easy, very simple, and possible for each one of you. Now let's discuss the 4 simple and possible steps that each one of you can follow at any time during the day or night or at any age to help you become a completely different person, to help you change your habits, to help you upgrade your habits that will naturally and consciously allow you to live the life you want. And that is trigger, acceptance, reaction, and reward. How to practice this simple exercise that will help you become aware of your habits, that will help you upgrade your habits. Whenever you're doing something or whenever you have a trigger to do something in a certain way, whenever you have late night snacks, or whenever you wake up late in the morning, if that's a habit, just become aware of that. Just become aware of the trigger on why you want to have late night snacks, or why you feel like doing something even when you know that that is not helping you in any way. Just become aware of it. Do not resist it in any way. Do not fight with it. Do not try to change it anyway. And the second step is acceptance. That is obviously not to resist it, not to change it, but just to accept the trigger the way it is, and learn to observe your own self in that moment. Learn to observe how you are mentally, emotionally, and physically reacting to that trigger, or how your brain is sending you signals on what you shouldn't be doing or what you should be doing in that case. And when you become aware of this trigger, and when you accept this trigger, when you accept your own mind, your own body at that moment, or your own habits, now we are free to react and respond the way you choose to. Because now that you've accepted completely, your brain is not fighting with you anymore. Your brain is not fighting with your present habit or your present decision to do something. You have accepted completely, and now your brain also allows you to choose how you want to react or respond to something in a certain way. And when you have this level of understanding, and when you have this level of choice for yourself, reward yourself. This is one of the best things that you can ever do to upgrade your habit or change your habits. Reward yourself for not doing something unhealthy and for doing something healthy. For not making an unhealthy decision to making a healthy decision, reward yourself. Your brain instantly reacts to, you know, the rewarding situations, or how often you reward for things. Because as we have discussed earlier, talking in terms of brain, a habit is simply a behavior, and the reward you give to that behavior, your brain instantly creates a connection between that. And when you repeat that over a period, that becomes an unconscious or a subconscious habit. So, in everything that you do, when you become aware of the trigger, when you accept it, and when you choose to react or respond in a certain way, simply reward it. Even if it's a very small thing, such as even when you have the tendency of eating late night snacks, and when you kind of just become aware of it and simply accept it, reward it for not eating late night snacks, reward yourself for not drinking too much, or reward yourself for including a healthy diet in your everyday diet. You must also keep in mind that this is not a one day's job, or this is not a 1 week job. It can take a few weeks to a few months to a few years for a few people to change their habits completely, to upgrade their habits. But I can really assure you that once you learn to become aware of your habits that are not really helping you, that are unhealthy for you, and you know that your habits are unhealthy, that is the first step to actually becoming a different person that is experiencing a different life. If you truly want to change, or if you truly want to transform your life from the subconscious level, from the habits level, from the behavior level, from the personality level, and if you really want to work with me, I'll leave a link to my private Facebook group in the description below, where you can connect with me personally, and we shall discuss how I can help you achieve your goals, how you can transform yourself completely to live the life you want. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye, take care.